ritual, and maybe some of you have done this practice with me before. And if you have or you haven't, I just want to make sure that you have water. Um, just have a glass of water and don't drink it until the ritual's, almost over. I'll tell you when. So you can just set it aside and just have it there. So, it's so great to see all of you. I'll just take a minute to welcome you here. Today is Father's Day in the States, and it's also the summer solstice, which is a very auspicious time. We have two solstices a year. Thank you for your feedback about the sound. We have two solstices and two equinoxes a year. The equinoxes are when the day and night are equally balanced, and the solstice in the summer is the longest day of the year when we have the most light, and the winter solstice is when we have the least light, the shortest day of the year. So for all of us in the northern hemisphere, this is the summer solstice. It happens exactly tonight at 11:32 p.m. Eastern Time. And so we are experiencing here in the north the most amount of light, and in the southern hemisphere they're experiencing the least amount of light. And basically what happens on the solstice is that the earth is tilted mostly closest to the sun, so it receives most of the sunlight, and the opposite in the winter solstice. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this because these times are very sacred portals, you could say, that cultures and civilizations around the world for many thousands of years have honored and acknowledged as a time, a sacred time for awakening and transformation, connecting to the cosmic energies and to the rhythms of nature. So I think it's really important, for us as modern people to be able to do these kinds of practices and have a remembrance of our place in the greater whole. So that's the intention of this ritual, and it's also an opportunity to just come home to yourself, to experience healing in whatever way you may need, and to set some intentions for yourself, some prayers for yourself through the practice of working with the water. So there'll be several steps to this ritual, and I'll share them as we go along. So you can't hear well? Oh, everybody's phone is or computer is a little bit different. See if you could try to go out and come back in. I'll just turn it up a little bit. See if that helps. Thank you. So I'm going to start by singing an invocation, which is what I always do when I begin my programs. It's just a way of acknowledging that we have this time together, and it's really special that we can gather all of us together from around the world with the intention of connecting, to our hearts and connecting all of our hearts. It's a really precious moment. It's something that I just feel so grateful to be able to participate in with you. So when I sing an invocation, it's sort of a way of crossing a threshold and acknowledging that we're entering this time together and asking for the blessings of my teachers and blessings for all of us, that we may receive exactly what each of us needs in this time. So I'm going to be singing in Sanskrit, and the first prayer is a blessing to my spiritual teacher named Amma. She's here. And I sing that first, and then I sing a very ancient, beautiful excerpt from a longer prayer called the Guru Paduka Stotram, which honors the feet or the seat of wisdom of the teacher. So it's calling on the wisdom of all of my teachers and all of our teachers through time, and calling on the wisdom that lives in our own hearts as well. So there's nothing you need to do except just relax and use this time to bring your mind and body together in the same place, to be here and to just, let go of whatever you're carrying. Give yourself this time to have this journey together. Dhyayamodavalavagundhanavati Tejomahinashtaki Snigdhapangavilokinim bhagavati Nandasmita Srimukhi Vatsalyamritavarshinim Sumathuram Sankirtanalapini Shyamangim Madhusita Sutim Amritanandatmikam Ishwari Om Amriteshwari Namaha Om Amriteshwari Namaha Om Amriteshwari Ananta samsara samudratara Naukaitaviyam Guru Bhakti Ravyam Vairangya Samjata Pujanabhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padikavyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padikavyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padikavyam Namo 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 Thank you. I lost my breath in the middle of chanting that. If my mind wanders, like even just the tiniest bit, I either lose my pitch or I lose what I'm singing. It's really interesting. I have to really pay attention when I'm singing. If my mind starts wandering to what's going to happen or anything, I just lose it. It's really, so there has to be this absorption experience I've learned in chanting, and that's what it's all about. Chanting is really a meditation practice using sound and mantra. Mantras are sacred formulas, sacred sound formulas. Mantra is like an instrument for the mind, an instrument of the mind. It helps us to go beyond our mind. Mantra, to go beyond our mind, and it protects our mind also from itself, because our mind, as you probably know, can be our worst enemy. So a mantra protects us from that. And so chanting is, in many ways, sort of like any type of meditation where we're just bringing our mind back to that union. Yoga is union. Every time our mind wanders, we just bring it back. In this case of chanting, we bring it back to the sound. And so when I'm chanting, if I don't bring my mind back, then I lose my place. So I'm grateful for that, because it keeps me to try to pay attention. So welcome to the Summer Solstice program, and I said at the beginning, if any of you are just joining, if you have some water, if you could get some water, that would be great. It doesn't matter what kind of vessel it's in, but just some water that you can use for this practice. And don't drink it quite yet. So about, I don't know, I guess 7 or 8 years ago, I started doing live events before coronavirus, and for the equinox and the solstice. These were just special events that I was doing on those particular days, because I really started to feel the importance of these times in the world, in nature, when, the light is in a certain place, or when there's in the equinox, the light is balanced, or today, the summer solstice, when we have the most light. And it's fascinating to me. I talked about this a little bit in my spring equinox program, if any of you were there for that. But there are so many civilizations around the world that have acknowledged the importance of these cosmic alignments. We could think of like Stonehenge in England, or Chichen Itza in Mexico, Machu Picchu, or the Great Pyramids in Egypt, the Menadra temples in Malta. It just goes on, all these places in the world that have sacred sites. And it's a mystery pretty much to most everyone here on Earth how some of these civilizations created these incredible structures that were in perfect alignment, with the solstices and the equinox, such that when the solstice happens, when the sun rises on the day of the solstice, in certain places it might shine exactly on, a ritual rock in a temple. Like in Machu Picchu, the Temple of the Sun, the light comes through a window, on the solstice and illuminates that rock. Or then the pyramids, when standing at the Sphinx, how the solstice sun, sets right between the pyramids. I mean, it's just fascinating. And over the last year, actually, I've just really gotten interested in learning about that, and sometimes I go down the YouTube rabbit hole just watching these fascinating videos about the mysteries of these sacred places, because I find it really, really interesting and incredible that without what we consider to be our modern technology, these civilizations were able to construct these incredible works of art and incredible sacred places that honor the harmony of nature. And I really think that in this program, I just like to mention that, because I think it's a way of recognizing what we've lost, I think, in many ways. In our modern world, we've really fallen out of alignment with nature and the planet, and I think that we're experiencing the effects of that in so many different ways. And it's so important that we reestablish a connection to the natural world, of which we're a part. We're not above it, we're not superior, we are one, with everything that is, and we are a part of nature. So I think what is really needed, other than taking action to change the way we live in this world, is to change the way we see this world as well, and to reinstate a sense of reverence for the planet, to understand that it's actually a living being, and that everything is connected. And that's what the mystics through the ages have said, and that's also what quantum physics says. We live in this unified field of consciousness. And so it's important to have that understanding. Otherwise, we're just destroying our home, and we don't realize it, but in doing that, we're also destroying ourselves. And I think on some level, we all feel the grief of that, the grief of what we have been doing to our mother. So today, this practice is a way to reawaken that sense of sacredness or reverence for what we maybe usually take for granted, for instance, water, or even our own body, to find a connection to that again. And so on Father's Day, we're going to honor Father Sun, which is the beautiful, life-giving, incredible orb of whatever it is in the sky that nourishes us in every way and gives us so much selflessly. I think the sun is such an amazing metaphor for unconditional, selfless love, because the sun shines on everything everywhere without any discernment, without discrimination. It doesn't say, I'm only going to shine on these people from this country, I'm only going to shine on. It doesn't do that. There's no hierarchy, there's no cutting things up and saying good, bad, high, low. The sun is equal in what it gives. So that's a beautiful teaching for us, I think. And if we look at the great masters or the Mahatmas throughout time, they also embodied this type of teaching that the sun does. the mamos, who are some shamans that I've studied with for the last bunch of years, from the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta in Colombia, who I often talk about. Mamo means sun, and they just devote their entire lives to serving nature. Every single thing that they do is for that. And I've mentioned before, if any of you have been in my programs, that in their lineage there's 4 tribes that compose the Teyuna people. I won't go into too much of that because that'll take me off course a little bit. But they, the male shamans, they spend, some of them, 9 to 18 years in the darkness, and in doing that, they are tuning their consciousness to the cosmic consciousness, so that they have such a deep relationship with nature, and they can actually read, a rock like it's a library, like it's a scripture. They can communicate with water, with trees, and I've learned so much just from spending a lot of time with them, how the natural world has this consciousness. And that's what they talk about, the spiritual source of nature, how important it is to see more deeply into that, and we're a part of it too. So I think, anytime there's a beautiful moment in time like this in the world, where the light, everyone in the entire northern hemisphere is experiencing this longest day of the year. I just did this program, a version of it, for some people in Japan the other night, and I was saying how, they're in Japan and I'm here in the States, but at 11:32 p.m. Eastern time, we're all going to be experiencing like the peak of light for the year. That's what the solstice is. It's the absolute peak of light, and then after that we start moving in the other direction. So today we have the fullest light there is. The sun is blazing and shining on us as long as can be, and then from each day forward we're moving towards shorter and shorter days until we get to the winter solstice. And it's the opposite in the southern hemisphere. So I think it's beautiful to look at some of these, lessons from nature as teachings about our own journey and our own life. I think that, to me, it's interesting looking at how expansion and contraction are a part of our life as human beings. We want to expand, and then sometimes there's a fear, and we feel like we need to contract again, and we want to stay safe, but we want to be free, but we want to stay in control, but we want to be, expressing our fullest light. So it's these interesting dichotomies that we experience as human beings. And I think there's a place for everything, just like the moon is full and then goes dark. The dark always becomes full, the full always becomes dark, and there's a place for all of it. And so right now we're in this peak of light, which I think is an invitation for us to question and consider light, in our own lives or in our own selves. What is your relationship to, oh, Yuka, thank you. I'm so glad that your mom was there. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. See, that's why I can't look at the comments, because I get thrown off course. What was I saying? I can't even remember what I was saying. Can someone tell me? Peak of light, thank you. Okay, so the peak of light, it asks us to question, where do we allow ourselves to express our full light, and where do we shut it down? Do we feel a connection to the light within, or do we feel very far removed from that? I think all of us, if you read any scripture from any spiritual tradition, in different language, it talks about the light within. There are different names for it, original goodness, or a Buddha nature, or the divine within, or the Christ consciousness, or we could go on and on, all of these different names that are used to describe this inner light. And all of us have this light within us, but of course it gets covered over with dirt, over many, many years, or maybe many lifetimes, of experiences that we have. And so we get this sort of cosmic amnesia, and we forget who we are, and we forget the light that lives within us. And so any spiritual practice that we're doing is really a way of uncovering that light and clearing away the dust that covers our eyes, stopping us from seeing who we really are. And I think it's interesting because this longing and the desire that I think all human beings have to share who we are, to be our authentic self, that longing is so strong. And the fear, the shell over it, is often equally strong. There are so many reasons why we conceal or hide our light, or we don't allow ourselves to feel it or to express it or experience it. It could be some, conditioning from our childhood, or messages that we've received from the media, or a fear of having to make changes in our life. Often if we are fully in our power, in our light, sometimes the people and things that have been in our lives that don't support that or don't encourage that, we may have to look at that. We may have to realize that certain changes need to be made. That can be scary. So it feels safer oftentimes to just kind of not do anything. Or there's maybe a fear of what other people think, a fear of failure, all of these things. We live in an opinion factory in this world, Everybody has an opinion about everyone, and as soon as you put yourself out there, you're just wide open for anybody to project whatever they want onto you, or make judgments, or form opinions. And I know for myself, I just spent so many years as tortured inside, because I felt like I want to share myself with the world. I want to share something, and first of all, I don't even know what it is that I want to share. But second of all, I'm totally terrified because what will happen if I share myself and I fail, or if I share myself and people don't like it or judge it, And so internally I had this battle, and oftentimes I still feel that sometimes, that feeling of vulnerability of putting oneself out there. But what's the other choice? For me personally, and I'm just sharing personally with you, it came to a point where the suffering of just shutting my voice down was too much. And I couldn't bear it anymore. And so it took some very, very difficult life circumstances, illness and depression, and years of just being in this dark night of the soul, that helped me let go of some of that self-consciousness and worry about what the world would think, to just find my voice. And it's a constant journey for me to keep discovering what that is, and sharing that, even in the face of my ego's worries or my mind's concerns. The soul has no issue like blazing forth. That's its nature. The soul is like the sun. But the ego and the mind, they have a problem. They're constantly looking outside for validation and confirmation. Somebody that's going to say, you're good, or somebody who's going to say you're bad, and you're going to, fight them. And we deal with these types of things that are coming towards us in life. So I think it's just an interesting thing to consider for yourself. What does it mean to share your light, or to connect with your light? And what is it that maybe stops you from connecting to that? I feel like that question is very relevant in the world right now, because we're kind of moving through to this other phase of the pandemic. It's confusing. I actually find this time almost more difficult in certain ways than the actual lockdown pandemic itself, because we're neither here nor there. It's kind of a strange place. And so many people's lives have changed. So many of us we have all changed through this experience. How could we not? So it begs the question, who am I now? What do I want to do with my life now? What's important to me? Who are the people that I want to be around? Who are the people, places, and things that pull my energy and my vibration down? These are questions that I think are very much in the ether for many people. And so it's an opportunity to not have to force any kind of answer, but to just look at it, bring our attention and our presence to these questions. I think oftentimes we feel like we need to do something, try to make something happen or figure it out, but often it's actually in just the looking and the letting go that the transformation happens. That's really what meditation is. And I think it's incredible, because when we're meditating, we're doing nothing really except paying attention, watching our thoughts, watching the movements of our mind. And from that process, incredible changes can happen to us physiologically, even with our brain. We develop new neural pathways. Certain areas of our brain get illuminated, lit up from doing that practice. And those areas of our brain can get stronger, and it helps our immune system. I mean, it's just fascinating how much sitting and being and observing can have an effect on us. So I think that's a really important teaching when it comes to our life in general, that often we feel we need to kind of push and force, but in fact, maybe what we need to do is just be here and look and watch, like the sun, like that non-judgmental giver of light, like the non-judgmental observer, to just see and let things evolve, let things change, let things, transform, just like in nature, how everything kind of has its own cycle. And if you plant a seed and stand over it and say, grow, 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 that's not going to make it come out of the earth faster. It comes out of the earth in its own time, when it's ready, according to the intelligence of life, by whatever name you want to call that. And we're very much the same, So anyway, I just wanted to plant some of those seeds, before we move into this ritual, because I think it's really important to just sit with that question. What does it mean? Sometimes I feel so disconnected from any light within myself or without, but then I still just try to show up and just be here and realize that it has nothing to do really with me at all. It has nothing to do with any of us. This light that comes through us, it doesn't belong to us. So in many ways, it's simply just about getting out of our own way, becoming like a flute, for that light to come through us. And sometimes it does, and sometimes we get in our own way and there are knots, in the rope, and we just have to be with that. I think it's all part of the experience. It's not that light is good and dark is bad. They each have a place. And I think that's why wholeness is so important, because wholeness includes all of it. The mamos, the shamans that I work with, sometimes they will sing to the positive energy in nature that they call matuna. But whenever they sing to the positive energy, they always sing to the negative energy called zongla. They always sing to that as well, because they go together, and that's what creates the wholeness. So I think there's a place in looking at our light to also honor the darkness and see how they interpenetrate and they go together, like the yin-yang, they're all together. And so when we honor the solstice, the brightest day of the year, we also honor the fact that it means we're moving closer towards the darkest day of the year. It's all working in these cycles of expansion and contraction, of opening and closing, of shining and concealing. And this is sort of the dance that we do as human beings. So how to be with it all and just let it be, that's a question that I have. And I don't have an answer, except for me, singing is a place where it all comes together in unity. There's no need to figure anything out. It's just like being in the heart. The heart is the great unifier. And in this place, we don't need to, analyze everything or figure it out. We can just let it all be there. So before we move into the ritual, I'm going to just share this one quote that I love from Emerson. And he said, "Most of the shadows of this life are caused by standing in one's own sunshine. Most of the shadows of this life are caused by standing in one's own sunshine." I think that is so true, that we often are the ones who are standing, in front of ourselves, wondering why we can't, feel the light. And it's not because we have to blame ourselves for that, but it's actually empowering to realize, okay, I'm blocking my own light in a way. So that means I can do something about it. That means that I can transform that, I can shift that. I can reconnect to that place again. I can trust that just like the darkest day of the year, ends and we move towards more light, that often when we experience those dark, dark times of our life, some part of us can trust that that will open up to a time of light again. We don't know when, we don't know how, and our mind often will judge and say, oh, It's been 3 years, it's been 10 years, but I don't know that it's necessarily like, all of a sudden, like, we go from darkness into light. I think it's just sort of like the way the dawn comes. It's a gradual opening that happens. And sometimes we go through these little like moments throughout our day where we're cycling from dawn to dusk, day to night, in these micro moments all the time. This is happening. So when we pay attention, we can connect to that. And I think it's just so important to come together as a community of human beings and just speak the truth about our human experience, and we can't control what other people think about us. As many people who might be enjoying my program, for sure there are people who don't like it or who have a judgment or an opinion, perception about me or how I'm doing my thing or what I'm doing. And, if I spent every minute trying to like control all that and make it all okay for everyone, first of all, I couldn't do it. I would completely collapse and it would just be impossible. But I would also just lose any connection to myself. So a couple of years ago, I was, having a lot of those worries like, oh my gosh, what is this person going to think? Or what if I put myself out there? What's going to happen? And I just wrote this little thing. It almost sounds like something like a little kid would write. It says, let the haters hate. Let the lovers love. Just be you and rise above. That's my mantra. There will always be haters. There will always be lovers. What matters is that we become our own lover. That we become our own just validator of the beauty of our being, and stop always looking out there for that confirmation, and learn to find it inside. It's really something that I struggle with and keep learning more and more, but I'm just sharing it openly with you because I think it's just something for us all to keep in mind. And the beauty of a sangha, of a spiritual community, is that we can see the best in each other. And we can try to uplift one another, and instead of focusing on, the difficult things, we can focus on the light. We can focus on the love that we see, reflect that back to one another, and that helps us to connect to it more within ourselves. I noticed that in my circle on Insight Timer. It's called Friends of Carrie Grossman, and I've just noticed how beautiful it is to have a community of people who've never met in person and don't know each other, but who can truly offer love and support to one another from a really genuine place, just really genuine, and not through platitudes, but through the heart, through the authenticity of the heart. It's amazing how much it can bring healing. So we're going to start our practice now. I want to make sure to leave a lot of time for it because there's going to be different steps to it. And if you don't have water, just a little reminder again to have some water, just a glass of water. And this ritual is going to have, different steps. Oftentimes rituals begin with a type of purification. It's just sort of a way of like washing off the world, so to speak. It's sort of like a way of recognizing that we're entering this experience together. So whatever may be weighing on us or whatever we may be carrying from the world, so to speak, we take the time to just let that go, to clear that through. And then we can go in, and so we're going to bless our water, sing to our water a mantra, and then we're going to imprint or encode into our water our intentions, our prayers for ourselves, whatever they may be. And it's really important to remember that when we're doing this, every little thing, this is a microcosm of a greater macrocosm. We have this water, and we also have water within ourselves. We're made of 70% water. So when we interact with the water in our own bodies matters. Water has memory. This is something that I've learned from the Mamos, and many different people have taught and shared about this, but water has consciousness and water has memory. And so it's an incredible conduit, and it's affected by our thoughts and by sound, by words, and so we can actually work with it. And when we sing to water, it's sort of like clearing whatever imprints may be in that water and imagining that we're holding like a cup of pure consciousness really at the end after we cleanse the water. because essentially that really is what happens. It's like a blank piece of paper, and in that we can infuse or encode whatever it is for our highest good, whatever it is that we're longing for, that we feel that we want or need, we can put into the water and then imbibe it, and it becomes a part of us. So water, there's so much to say about water, and obviously we've really desecrated the waters in our world. And so to become water protectors is an important thing. And I think it starts with recognizing that we have these waters within us, and that to take care of these waters, to be mindful of the way that we talk to ourselves, of the way that we think even, recognizing that it has an effect on the waters within us. So in this ritual, we're going to clear all of that just using our imagination. Our imagination is so important and powerful. And when we imagine something, the visual cortex in our brain doesn't distinguish whether it's real or imagined. That's why you can imagine eating a lemon, and if you don't like the taste of lemon, if you find it sour, if you just imagine it, your body's like, ah, it's sour, ugh. You have a reaction because you feel it. Because our body doesn't realize, are you really tasting that lemon, or is it in your imagination? So that's really important to realize, because sometimes we think of imagination like this sort of child's play, but it's not at all. Our entire world was born out of imagination. Somebody imagined everything in this world, whatever it may be, whether it's like a piece of paper or a pen or a microphone, or everything in existence was born out of somebody's imagination. So if we realized how powerful our imagination was, maybe we would live a little bit differently. So today we're going to use our imagination, and it's okay if you're not a visual sensor. Some people say, I'm not good at visualizing things. That's okay. Everybody has different senses that are their strengths or that they connect to. Some people can feel things more. So if I said to you, like I'm going to say soon, visualize the sun or the light in your cells, some people may actually see it. Some people may just feel like the warmth. Some people, you may have a different way of relating to it. So there's no right or wrong. Whatever you do is the right thing for you. It's your practice. So we're going to begin, and I just want to invite you to, you just spilt your glass of water. You can get some, if you have time, you can get some more, because we won't be drinking it yet. So that's enough talking. Let's get started. So wherever you may be, I just want to invite you to be comfortable. And you can sit up or lie down. Sitting up might be a little better, just because at some point we're going to be holding the water, but that won't be for a little while. So do whatever you need to be comfortable. So thank you for being with me. Thanks so much for joining me for this. I really find these rituals so special, and that you're interested and that you want to participate in this just touches my heart so much. So thank you. So we're going to begin to bring our attention inside now. So wherever you may be, allow yourself to become inwardly drawn. Nothing that you need to do, just be here, be open to this summer solstice, this peak of light. So just let yourself breathe, just effortlessly, naturally. You don't need to force any particular pattern of breathing, but just breathe. Whatever may be happening for you in your life right now, just let it be here, and let it down, let it go onto the earth, and just give yourself this time to just breathe in the spaces between, whatever may be, whatever contracting, whatever tightness you may be experiencing in your life, in your mind, in your body. You can always breathe into the spaces between. Just like a forest looks very dense from above, but when we get closer, we see there's space between the trees. So let us breathe into the spaces. We're just going to connect to the earth of our body to feel grounded. Usually where our mind is flying off somewhere else, we're not tuned into our body. This body is the vehicle through which we can experience, our consciousness, love. So we're just going to take a couple of moments to just start to connect to your body and just massage your body a little bit. You can just massage your scalp and your ears, your face, whatever feels right to you. Do it mindfully, as a mindfulness exercise. Just connecting to yourself. It's like a kind of self-soothing, saying that you're here for yourself. We abandon ourselves far too frequently. So let us return. Maybe massage your jaw. And then we're going to rub our hands together, like making a fire, just generating the chi and energy between our hands. Some of you have done this with me before. Just rub your hands together. And the most important thing when doing anything like this is that our mind is with our action. Our mind is with our body. So feel the generation of the heat between your hands. And then you're just going to gently pull them away and feel that energy between your hands. Just feel that heat generated there. And imagine that between your hands you're just holding like a ball of light. Just sense it, see it, feel it in your palms. And then we're just going to sweep down our body a few times. And as you sweep down your body, just imagine that you're clearing away any heaviness, any negative thoughts, any worries, anything at all. Just feel that you're just clearing that away. And shake your hands. And then we're going to turn our mind within. Just feel the peace, feel the purification. Now we're going to just take a moment to just release any energy of other people or the world or anything that we may be carrying in our field that we don't want to bring with us into this ritual, so that we can, each of us, just be here in our own self. So we all pick up stuff from other people, and it's good to just let it go and clarify. I'm right here, this is me, my space. So to do that, we're going to breathe in and we're going to hold for a moment, and you're going to imagine that you're sort of isolating the energy, that it may not be yours, or heavy energy, whatever you might like to release, and we're just going to exhale through our whole body, through every cell. So it helps to try to feel and sense that. Imagine that you're just letting all of that go. So breathe in. Imagine that you're gathering up all the energy that's not yours. And when you're ready, you just exhale and release through every cell. Breathe in. Isolating all the energy that's not yours, holding that. And exhale through every cell, the front and back and sides. One more time. Breathe in. Hold. Exhale through the whole body. And have the sense now that you're within your own energy. And we're just going to take a moment to rub our hands together again, just for a few seconds. Put your mind in the action. And then we're just going to palm our eyes. Just cover your eyes with your hands. Just relax your eyes. And just be internal with yourself. And imagine that you're blessing your eyes with your hands, giving light to your eyes. Our eyes are always outside, looking at everything outside. And when we do these practices, our eyes rest and we turn within. We look through our inner eye. And then if you want, you can just put a hand on your heart, just an acknowledgement of our refuge, our true abode. As I always say, when somebody asks us where we are in space, we always point to our heart and say, I'm here, this is where I dwell, this is my home. So now we're going to experiment with visualization just for a few moments. Calling on that light of the sun, which is really at its peak today, shining down on us here in the northern hemisphere. And those, if anyone is watching this from the southern hemisphere, this day is also a portal, even though it's the darkest day of the year. They are both portals that take us into ourselves. So imagining the light, you in the southern hemisphere are about to experience the return of the light after we pass through this day. The light will be returning. So imagine this golden sun just shining on you, like that golden sun in the afternoon that lights up the land and makes everything this beautiful golden color. Just sense that, feel that light shining on you, illuminating every cell of your body. If you can't see it, you can sense it, you can imagine the warmth of the sun on your skin. Just feel the light. Remember that your brain responds as if it's happening. And as you allow yourself to just bathe in this light, I'm just going to chant the Gayatri Mantra just a few times. The Gayatri Mantra is a very, very ancient, beautiful mantra that honors the light. It's a prayer for the illumination of our intellect, prayer to that light within. So you can just receive this mantra, receive this sound, and just connect to that light. Imagine that light is just purifying you before we move to the next step of the ritual. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Feel the sun shining on you, within and without. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So just breathe in. Breathe in the mantra, breathe in the sound. Feel that your being is just purified. And just exhale, release everything. And we're going to move on to the next step of the ritual. So if you have your glass of water, if you like, you can hold it in your hand, or you can just have it somewhere nearby. At some point, we're going to hold our water. And we're going to sing now the mantra Om Namah Shivaya to our water. Om Namah Shivaya is a beautiful Sanskrit mantra to Shiva. Shiva has many interpretations, but in this case, we're referring to Shiva as the pure consciousness, as the witness behind everything. When we go to a movie and there's a movie screen, the screen remains completely unaffected by whatever is projected onto it. In the same way, we have this witness consciousness, Sakshi Bhava, it's called in Sanskrit, that is within us, that observes everything without attachment, without getting affected by it, just like a screen doesn't get washed away when there's a flood, doesn't get burned when there's a fire. So Shiva is that presence that lives in us and that lives in all of us. So when we sing Om Namah Shivaya or we chant Om Namah Shivaya, we're acknowledging that. We're acknowledging that presence within me and within you. So sometimes Om Namah Shivaya is actually used as a greeting People often say namaste, but Om Namah Shivaya is also a greeting. I honor the divine within you. I honor the consciousness or the light within you. So as we sing this mantra, we're going to sing it to our water, imagining that we're purifying this water of any imprints or any whatever may have affected this water to make it completely clear. And also we'll be singing to the waters within our own body and the waters of the earth. So Om Namah Shivaya, and then I sing different things. I sing Hari Om, I sing Om, and sometimes I also sing a mantra called the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, Triambakam, which is a mantra, another beautiful ancient Vedic mantra for healing. That mantra is chanted for healing of all different kinds, for longevity, and this mantra is said to remove our fear of death. So it's a very blessed mantra, and I sometimes like to sing that as well when we're connecting to our water. So all you need to do is just be present, and if you like, once you catch on to the mantra, you can sing along with me. You don't need to be a singer. Just join in whatever way that feels right to you, or you can just receive the sound. We're going to imagine that we're singing to this water, and then I'll guide us along the way. Some of you may know this song because I have this track on Insight Timer, Om Namah Shivaya, if you want to listen to it sometime after the session. So let's start, and we'll sing Om 3 times together. When you sing the sound Om, imagine that you're singing it with your full awareness, and feel that the sound is really like cleansing you from within and without. Om is the most sacred mantra. This simple bija mantra contains all the mysteries of existence in it. So we're going to chant Om 3 times. Breathe in. Merge your mind with the sound. One more time. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari 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 Om. Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Now you're going to just bring your awareness to your water. If you want to hold your glass, you can. You're just going to place your awareness in your water. This water has arrived here for you today. So you can just feel that sense of gratitude to this water that we usually take for granted. And whatever imprints may be in this water, we're just going to sing to it and imagine that all the molecules of the water are being purified by our intention, by the sound vibration. So we're going to sing Om Namah Shivaya to the water and see the molecules transforming through the sound. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Now we're going to turn our attention to the waters in our own body. Our body is 70% or more of water, and our thoughts, our words affect these waters flowing in our body. So let's take this time to sing to these waters in our body. We don't want to pollute these waters in our body. We want these waters to be like clear mountain streams, clean and healthy and fresh and nourishing. So sing to the waters in our body. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Now I'm going to sing the Mahamrityunjaya mantra for healing. Wherever you may need healing, with this mantra, go there. Indrayambakam yajamahe Sugandhim pushtivartana Urvarukumiva bandhana Mrityumukshim amrita Indrayambakam yajamahe Sugandhim pushtivartana Urvarukumiva bandhana Mrityumukshim amrita Indrayambakam yajamahe Sugandhim pushtivartanam Urvarukumiva bandhana Mrityumukshim amrita. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Om Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Extending this prayer to all the waters of the earth, not only the water in our glass, but to all the rivers and the oceans and the lakes, all the tributaries of the world, the rain, the marshes, the swamps. We send our love to all the waters of this earth. Imagining that these waters are flowing clear and healthy, clearing away all the pollutants, all the chemicals and the pesticides and all of the negative thought forms that pollute our waters. And just sing Om Namah Shivaya to the waters of the earth. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Now you're just going to hold your water. You're going to sing. We're going to sing together into our water the sound of Om. So you can bring this water up to your lips if you want, or just hold it closer to your heart and imagine that we're chanting Om into the water, transforming and blessing this water. So sing Om all together. Once more. One last time. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Now you can hold your water. Now we're just going to journey into this water. Imagine that this water has been cleansed through our intention, through our attention, and through our sound vibration. Imagine that you're holding like a glass of pure consciousness, like a blank piece of paper. This water is here for you today. So I always like to begin by apologizing to the water for all the ways that we've abused water in our lives, taken it for granted, treated it unkindly, and this includes the waters in our body. So we just start by saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, water, for not acknowledging the nourishing, life-giving gifts that you give me every day. And I'm sorry to the waters in my body for abusing you with my words and my thoughts. Please forgive me. Feel in your heart a love and a gratitude for water and all the ways that it nourishes you in your life. And allow this gratitude to flow into your glass of water. Just feeling inside, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I invite you to tune into your heart. What is happening for you right now in your life? Where are you at? What do you need? What are you longing for? Maybe a specific word or a quality comes to your mind. Maybe it's a statement, an affirmation, or a color, or a light. Whatever it may be, allow it to come into your awareness. Connect to that. If it's a word, you could just say it in your mind. Forgiveness, or trust, compassion, clarity, love, acceptance, purpose, whatever it may be for you. My teacher Amma always says that we need the permission of our own mind to be happy. So in this moment, I just invite you to give yourself the permission of your own mind to receive whatever it is that you're longing for. Allow the light of the sun within and the light of the sun without to shine on you. We're all deserving of that light. We're all deserving of the sun. That's why it shines on everything without discrimination. Everything in creation is worthy of that light. So when you're ready, whatever it may be that comes to mind, even if it's not a clear picture or clear word, just imagine that you're filling this glass of pure water, pure consciousness, with the highest prayer for yourself, highest intention. What you need. Imagine that every molecule of the water is just absorbing that, is vibrating that now. And the water becomes alive. Water is very much alive. And then this water, through our focus, becomes that which we imagine it to be. A glass of forgiveness, a glass of trust, a glass of light. And feeling the aliveness of all of those molecules of water, feeling the connection of that water to your own heart, to your own being, imagining that great solstice sun shining into your water. When you're ready, you can slowly drink this water as a meditation. You don't need to drink it all at once, but you can have a sip. Drink it a little bit slowly and notice and sense how this holy water becomes a part of you. It merges with your being and it merges with the waters of your own body. Allow yourself to receive your own blessings and your own goodness. And for this moment, don't stand in your own sunshine. Feel it. Allow it in. Allow the light to shine on you. I'm going to read one of my favorite prayers to you that I like to read when I do these rituals. It's just so beautiful. By John O'Donohue, A Blessing for Beauty. I really invite you to receive these words like a meditation as you drink your water. May the beauty of your life become more visible to you, that you may glimpse your wild divinity. May the wonders of the earth call you forth from all your small, secret prisons and set your feet free in the pastures of possibilities. May the light of dawn anoint your eyes, that you may behold what a miracle a day is. May the liturgy of twilight shelter all your fears and darkness within the circle of ease. May the angel of memory surprise you in bleak times with new gifts from the harvest of your vanished days. May you allow no dark hand to quench the candle of hope in your heart. May you discover a new generosity towards yourself and encourage yourself to engage your life as a great adventure. May the outside voices of fear and despair find no echo in you. May you always trust the urgency and wisdom of your own spirit. May the shelter and nourishment of all the good you have done, the love you have shown, the suffering you have carried, awaken around you to bless your life 1,000 times. And when love finds the path to your door, may you open like the earth to the dawn, and trust your every hidden color towards its nourishment of light. May you find enough stillness and silence to savor the kiss of God on your soul and delight in the eternity that shaped you, that holds you and calls you. And may you know that despite confusion, anxiety, and emptiness, your name is written in heaven. And may you come to see your life as a quiet sacrament of service, which awakens around you a rhythm where doubt gives way to the grace of wonder, where what is awkward and strained can find elegance, and where crippled hope can find wings, and torment enter at last unto the grace of serenity. May divine beauty bless you. May divine beauty bless you. I'm going to end by singing a short song from the Kundalini tradition to honor the sun, a prayer for you and me and all of us. May the long time sun shine upon you, all surround you, and the pure light within you will guide your way on, will guide your way on. May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you will guide your way on, will guide your way on. Satanam, Satanam, oh, 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 Satanam, Satanam, oh, Satanam, Satanam, oh, 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 Satanam, Satanam. May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you will guide your way on, will guide your way on, will guide your way on. I'm going to just end by chanting Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and peaceful. We offer this as a dedication of merit, which is asking that all the goodness that we've generated in this time together may benefit all beings everywhere. And we chant Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu 9 times. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you so much. Thank you. I invite you to connect to the sun in any way that speaks to you. As I said, the solstice happens exactly at 11:32 Eastern Time tonight. So obviously it's hard to feel the sunlight in the middle of the night. For many of you, it's 4, 5, 6 in the morning. But just to make that connection to the sun, make that connection to the light within you. Burn a candle or have a fire, feel the sun, imagine the sun, and just give thanks to the sun that gives us so much. And with the water ritual, this is just something that you can integrate into your life if you like the practice in any way. It doesn't have to be this long and drawn out. Obviously, I'm doing more of a sort of ceremonial thing for the purpose of this program, but even just every now and then to have water, to just thank your water, or to imagine that your water is being purified through your intention, or chanting into water, or chanting Om into your water, filling your water with whatever it is that you want to ingest, whatever you want to imbibe. We can choose to imbibe what is nourishing and uplifting to us. It's easy because our mind is so habituated to go, towards the swamplands. Our mind likes to go over these negative thoughts over and over again in a loop, and we get very addicted to them. But there are ways that we can break that circuit, and just small things can really help. So just sitting and having a glass of water with mindfulness is a really beautiful practice. And I think ultimately one of the most beautiful things about this practice is that it helps us to see something that we take for granted, that is so simple, as sacred, as something that is here to help us awaken. Really everything in the whole world is that mirror, whether it's a glass of water or a tree or an enemy or a lover, right? It doesn't matter. Everything can be that mirror reflecting back to us, giving us an opportunity to know ourselves more deeply. So I think when we approach it with that, there can be more space around it. And as I said at the very beginning, even when everything in life feels contracted and tight, we can still try to breathe into the spaces. There are spaces in that tightness. There are spaces in that contraction of our being. Just like I said, when we go into a forest, it looks like the trees are from far away, all together in a big clump. When we get closer, we see the spaces between the trees. And there are spaces between our thoughts as well. Our mind is not a solid ball, like a golf ball. Our mind is lots of thoughts happening in a mind stream. And so we can bring space and bring awareness to that stream and breathe into those spaces. So I'm so grateful. Oh, good to see you, Zawadi. Good to see all of you. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for your donations. So generous. I've been really touched and moved. My last few sessions, so many people have contributed, and it just means so much to me. I was overwhelmed the last session I did. So many people donated, and I thought it was like a glitch, like a technical issue. And so I just want to say thank you so much, because it helps me to be able to create more music and to do what I want to do, which is just to offer you songs and whatever it is that makes your heart happy. So thank you for all of your support and your interest in everything I do. I've been a bit busy lately because my parents are about to sell our family, my childhood home, and just a little personal thing. And so it's just interesting, these different phases of life. Sometimes we need to let go. We've had this home for over 30 years, and a home, when you live there that long, or even not that long, becomes something so special, almost like a part of you. And so when saying goodbye to that, it's an interesting thing. And it's been such a nostalgic time for me, like going back over my life and just looking at a lot of things and reading journals and looking at photographs and just wondering, like, how did this person get to where she is, and who is this person? Who is this solid? I think of myself as a solid person, but whenever we look more deeply, and this is just sort of basic Buddhist philosophy, what we think to be so solid is really not at all. And so anyway, it's been an interesting time, and thank you for hearing that. I wanted to share a little story with you about this house, but it might take a few minutes, and I've already gone an hour and a half, so I could save that for another time. Oh wow, 45 years, that's a long time. Yeah, it's just so interesting how a house becomes a part of you. Anyway, thank you so much for being here, and if you want to you want to hear the story, okay, I'll tell the story. If you need to go, thank you for being here. This is a quick version of the story. So I was born in New York, and my family moved to Connecticut when I was about 13, I guess, 12 or 13. And it's a long story, but we ended up moving we had rented a house when we moved there, and our dog ran across the street down this driveway and found this really old house. Turns out that that house was from 1740, and it had been abandoned. It was owned by the Historical Society, and through a long chain of events, we ended up being able to move into that house and buy that house. Really old house, an amazing house actually. It was part of the Underground Railroad. It has a lot of amazing history there. There were only like 5 families that lived in this little farmhouse for so many hundreds of years. So when my parents first decided to sell this house, they had a realtor who was very interested in history and was doing a lot of research about the history of the house and who had lived there and all of this stuff. And when she came back and started sharing this information about the house, it was really fascinating because she shared about, you know, the different families. There were these artists and farmers and different people that lived there. And then she said, oh, this guy used to hang out all the time here. He used to always come to your house. His name was Ram Dass. I'm sure many of you know who Ram Dass is. As you can imagine, of course, my parents were shocked because they know what I do for a living, and what are the chances that some random little house in the middle of nowhere was visited by Ram Dass? It turns out that the family that lived there before my family had a daughter, and she was very good friends with Ram Dass. And so the strange part about this story, trying to condense it all, is that the night before my mom told me about this, I was really having a hard time because I was working on my album called The Ram Sessions, which took me 5 years to make. And at that point, it had been already like 4 years, and I couldn't get the album done. And I was so frustrated. I thought, you know what, maybe this is a sign, like I'm just not supposed to do this album. Maybe I'm not supposed to create music or be on this path. I have to let this go. So I made like a little altar on my kitchen table. I remember it because I took a picture of it. On that altar, I had a picture of Amma, my guru, and I had a picture of Maharaji, who is Ram Dass's guru, because I love him and have a connection with him as well. And my album was to Ram, and Maharaji is very well known for always telling people, just chant Ram, Ram, Ram. So I had Maharaji and Amma there, and I wrote this whole thing, and I remember just saying, the Ram Sessions, this album, it's just not happening. So if I'm not supposed to do this, you need to let me know. If I am supposed to keep doing this, you need to give me a sign. I need a sign now, because I'm about to like jump ship and forget this whole thing. So I did that, and I did this whole like ceremony and meditation with it, and then I just let it go. And then the next day, my mom called and told me, you know, that it turns out Ram Dass used to hang out all the time at our house, as if that wasn't like a sign. Turns out that he had some kind of like a, I don't know if it was like a RV or a VW bus or something that he had there at the house that he and his friend Judith, who used to live there, would hang out in. And she and Ram Dass and this other woman named Pat Rodegast were involved in a series of books called the Emmanuel books, the Emmanuel teachings, which are really beautiful books. Emmanuel was a channeled being, channeled by Pat Rodegast, and Ram Dass wrote the foreword to, I think, some of the different books. I know one of them, but I think more than one. And Judith, who was the woman that lived in the house that I spent, you know, the last 30 years in, she lived there, and she worked on, you know, the transcriptions. So after I found this out, I thought it was crazy, and I was like, I have to find this woman Judith. So I started looking online on the white pages online, like just trying to find where is this woman and looking her up. And I found a bunch of people by that name. I called 2 people that wasn't the right person. And finally I found a number for somebody who lived not too far away. And it said she was, I think she was 89 or 90 years old at that time. And I just called and she answered. And I said, "Hi, Judith, my name is Carrie, and I live in your family's house." And I'm a kirtan singer. I sing mantras, and I just found out that you lived here for 30 years too, or something, and you were friends with Ram Dass, and my mind is being blown. So we had this conversation, and we were talking about the house, and so she invited me to come over. So I went to her house, and or to her little condo where she lived, and she told me these different stories about her time working on these books with Emmanuel, and her times going to the Lama Foundation, hanging out with Ram Dass. It was really so wild. And after that, the next day I had a kirtan. I had like a concert, like a chanting concert that wasn't that far from her house, and she came, and it was just such a crazy experience, because I remember just sitting there, playing, and seeing her sitting in the back on a chair and just thinking how much I don't understand anything in life, because how is it possible that, how is any of it possible? I still don't understand it. So it just blows my mind. But I felt so humbled by that whole thing, and it gave me the strength to keep going and to complete my album, because I just thought, okay, I guess that's a sign, I have to do this. And I felt this deep gratitude that, maybe the name of Ram was sort of planted on the land, the place where I lived, and maybe somehow I picked it up or something, and that ushered me into what I'm doing now. I mean, who understands any of these things, But so that's the house that is being sold in the next 10 days. So I'm sending it off with gratitude, and yeah, just wanted to share that with you, because yeah, it's true. Who knows where it goes from here, Anyway, Ram Ram, and so much love. So grateful to you all. And I don't have anything scheduled, another live just yet. Once this house thing is complete, then I will, and I have some different sessions that I want to offer based on the feedback of people in my circle. And you're all welcome to join my circle, Friends of Carrie Grossman, which I didn't start. It was started by the wonderful Karen in California, and we have there's 4 administrators, me here, and Karen in California, Ellen in the Netherlands, and Advitya in India. And we all just kind of offer spontaneous meditations, mostly music, mantras at different times, and it's just a very supportive space. When you enter the circle, it sort of can feel like you're entering like a world that already exists, but please know that it's an open circle. Everybody is welcome. Everybody is a part of the circle. It's there's no hierarchy, and it's all, everything is equal. So please join if you would like to, and feel free to check out any of my offerings on the app. My new course that I've been working on for the last 3 years. Maybe I need to do another ceremony, call on, get some help to finish it. It's getting there. It's in like the final birthing phase. I'll tell you more about it soon, the 21-day course. And yeah, I think that's all. So, oh my gosh, thank you. And so grateful. Thank you. Enjoy your water. You can share it with people. You can offer some to the land. Sometimes when I do this, I like to do these rituals in like a live, retreats or something. It's nice to do it outside, and then we offer some to the land. So you can do that, water your plants or water yourself. All right. Earlier you used to see me more often. Well, before I was doing my sessions every week, and then I was a little overwhelmed by that because I was trying to do my course and mentoring. Oh, I forgot to mention that I do mentoring on the app, and I have a couple of sessions still open for July, and I haven't added any more for August yet, but you can check that out if you want to. I call it spiritual friendship, which may sound slightly vague, but it's a Buddhist term that essentially just means a meeting of hearts, and I draw on the different modalities that I've studied, the different healing traditions and spiritual traditions that I've been studying for a long time. Just show up, be there with you in whatever way. Each session is unique to each person. So, and yeah, but I will start once my course is out. I will try to offer more live sessions more regularly. Eugene is good. I hope that he'll come and do a live with me, so we can do like a concert maybe later this summer. How do you sign up for the course or the? Well, I'm not sure. If you want to join the circle, you just go to the little circle at the bottom, join there, and you can find my courses and everything on my profile. The poet was John O'Donohue. A blessing for beauty, a blessing for beauty. So beautiful. All right, lots of love. Thank you so much. See you soon.